I love women presidents. I love women leaders. They are usually so much more blunt. They are usually so much stronger because they don't have to play the good old boy game. They were never in the game in the first place. So generally speaking, not because women make better presidents than men or anything like that, but in today's world, women have got to be better presidents and better prime ministers and better everything than men because of the way the system judges, not only by men, but even by some women. As you can see, what happened with Kamala Harris, an incompetent traitor rapist wins the presidency of the United States, even with the help of women. Patriarchy is an interesting thing, but you know what? I am so proud of our Mexican president. She nailed it in her response. Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, who is the new president of Mexico. And as you know, Donald Trump, he said in his Truth Social, that failure of a social media device. Let me read what he actually said. He said, as everyone is aware, thousands of people are pouring through Mexico and Canada, bringing crime and drugs at levels never seen before. Right now, a caravan coming from Mexico, composed of thousands of people, seems to be unstoppable in its quest to come through our currently open border. On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States, and it is ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time that they do it, it's time for them to pay a very big price. First of all, it starts with a lie, right? That there's caravans coming to the United States. We are a low, but I want to read you the response. And I read the response that was translated by one of our newspapers. And I don't trust our newspapers to be frank in their translation at all, because, again, I don't have faith that just like the Washington Post, just like the LA Times, they were commanded not to endorse as they should. I decided I would get the original letter in Spanish that was sent by Miss Sheinbaum Pardo to Trump. And when I read that letter, I said, I love women presidents. I love women prime ministers. Women, again, because they know they're not a part of the good old boy network, that they can be as free to do as they should. She says, estimado presidente electo Donald Trump, me dirijo a usted a raíz de su declaración del lunes 25 sobre inmigración, tráfico de fentanilo y aranceles. I'm writing to you about what you spoke about migration, traffic, the fentanyl traffic, and the tariffs. I'm not going to read this one completely in Spanish because what she wanted to say is, let me forewarn you that the truth is that unlike your statement on Truth Social, according to your own records, the migration rate to the United States over the last year has dropped by 75%. In other words, there are very few people crossing the border right now. He said, however, let me read that one in Spanish. Por estas razones ya no llegan caravanas migrantes a la frontera. We don't longer have, because of the work we've done, there's no more that caravan coming to the United States. Aún así está claro que debemos arribar conjuntamente a otro modelo de movilidad laboral que es necesario para su país y de atención a las causas que llevan a familia a dejar sus lugares de origen por necesidad. She said, but by the same token, because of what you need in your labor force, your own labor force, we need to come out with some sort of a model of how we're going to have the exchange of labor between countries. But then she nailed him. Let me tell you what she said. She said, si un porcentaje de lo que Estados Unidos destina a la guerra se dedica a la construcción de la paz y el desarrollo, se estará atendiendo de fondo la movilidad de las personas. Oh, that was a slicing statement. She said, look, but let me tell you something, Mr. Trump. If your country was to take a fraction of what you spend on war and use it for peace, and use it for the development throughout Latin America, that's what she's referring to, then all of this stuff would be done with. We wouldn't have this kind of migration come into the United States. In other words, if you want to stop the migration, there's something you can do about it around the Latin America area where all these problems are occurring. Then she says, por otro lado y por razones humanitarias, siempre hemos manifestado la disposición de México para evitar que siga la epidemia de fentanilo en los Estados Unidos, que por las demás es un problema de consumo y de la salud pública de su país en lo que va del año de las Fuerzas Armadas Mexicanas y las facalias han inaucado toneladas diferentes de drogas. She's saying, look, by the way, this fentanyl epidemic, for humanitarian reasons, Mexico wants to help you, in effect. But remember, this is your problem. It is your country that has a drug problem. And later on, as she continues, she said, we don't have a fentanyl problem in our country. It is your country that has a drug problem. It is your country that has a drug producing country. And please do remember, she continues in the letter, please do remember that the precursors to make fentanyl are not manufactured in Mexico or Canada. They are manufactured in countries overseas, in Asian countries. And then she points out, but let me tell you, Mr. President, so therefore, to solve this problem of avoiding the precursors to these drugs from Asia, it seems to me like you don't only need a conversation with Canada and Mexico, you need to have a conversation with all these other countries. In other words, you have to do what again? Negotiate. She hits him again. She says, and by the way, because trafficking of drugs, etc., are illegal, and to do this require, all these people who transfer drugs use guns, and we don't manufacture these guns that come into Mexico to maintain this trade of illegal drugs. They come from where? The United States. So here you go. You have your population with a drug problem. They are the ones using drugs. America is the one that has a drug problem. America is the country that has a gun problem. You are exporting your gun problems to Mexico. Your drug problems are causing Chinese companies as capitalists to move the precursors for these drugs to Mexico and Canada to get into the United States. And then your arms are killing a lot of Mexicans because your country has a lot of drugs. So imposing tariffs, so this is what she's saying. So you can try to impose tariffs on us. Let me tell you, you impose tariffs on us, we will do the same thing and impose tariffs on you. But also, Mr. President, do remember, all of this is in her letter. I'm not going to read it in Spanish anymore, but do remember that General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford Motor are manufacturing cars for American consumption in Mexico. And as they go over the border, you will be taxing your citizens and creating inflation in your country. Oh my God, she hit him so hard with a few inconvenient truths. In other words, your problem, you are trying to have us solve your problem. You're going to put tariffs on us to solve your problem. You guys are the druggies. You guys are the ones that have to be medicated. You guys are the ones that make guns. You guys are the ones giving us the weapons to kill a lot of our own people. Suppose we decide to use the same thing that you are doing and decide to say, oh, since guns are manufactured in the United States and coming into Mexico and a lot of Mexicans are getting killed from your guns, maybe we should put a big tariff on you because you are getting our citizens killed with the manufacture of guns in the United States. Again, whenever you're pointing a finger, be careful. There are 4 more pointing back at you. Unlike Trudeau from Canada, who said, oh, I had a conversation with Trump and we're talking about all the different kind of trades that we have in the... No, she didn't do that. She came right at him. Don't be giving me this crap, Trump. You guys are the druggies. You guys are the dope addicted folk. You guys are the one manufacturing weapons that kill people. And now you want a tariff because your folks can't get off the drugs, because you can't stop your industry from manufacturing guns for a profit as they kill people. This reminds me of 1989. And for those of you who listen to the show often, you hear me talk about this all of the times. I'm originally from Panama, Central America, and I remember 1989 very well. I remember just before the invasion started, I got a call from a friend of mine who worked for the CIA. He's a soldier in the United States, born in Panama. He's like, Egberto, you didn't hear this from me, but let your people know it starts tonight. And then Bush started having those C-130s. Every 5 minutes, a C-130 landed in Panama, Fort Howard Air Force Base, all these bases. And then they started the invasion. They blew up the Cuartel Nacional in Colón. That's the city that I'm from. That's surrounded by tenements. All those people got killed as they opened up. In Chorrillo, in Panama City, they opened up in the cuartel where Manuel Antonio Noriega was, killed a lot of people. They invaded purportedly because Manuel Antonio Noriega was facilitating drugs into the United States, and a few American soldiers in Panama got shook up supposedly by Panamanian defense forces. Okay, what is our response to that? We blow the crap out of Panama, destroyed parts of Colón, destroyed parts of Chorrillo in Panama City, killed thousands of people purportedly to get one man, Manuel Antonio Noriega. And what was his fault? He was a capitalist. How was he a capitalist? Well, America demanded drugs. American people love all those drugs coming from Colombia. They love those drugs coming from all these different places. So they said, as good capitalists do, I'm not a capitalist, but Noriega was a capitalist. He said, well, there's a need for drugs in the United States. I will facilitate the supply of drugs to the United States. And, well, instead of solving the problem in the United States where people are on drugs, they decided to blow up Panama for facilitating the supply of something many Americans wanted. So a lot of Panamanians died for that. My friends, that is why so much so I so love honest presidents. Women like Sheinbaum in Mexico have no problem telling Trump the inconvenient truth that if you want to solve the border problem, there are solutions. And it's not with tariffs. And it's not with putting people in camps. It's by using a fraction of the money you used to kill people or to give Israel bombs or Ukraine bombs to kill more people. A fraction of that used in just development in countries around the world that you have yourself with your policies, the rice policy for Haiti that favored the American farmer and destroyed the Haitian farmer. And we can do that country after country after country after country. But we don't see it that way. Our government doesn't see that way. And our government, with the lies that they tell the people of the United States, put us at risk. Because they tell us they don't like us because of our freedom. It has not a damn thing to do with our freedom. It has everything to do with not the policy of the good American people, but the policies of the evil corporations who are the genesis of most of these problems as they use the American government to abuse other places. I just so love that letter that President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo sent to Trump. And then I turned on the TV this morning and I wanted to hear the mainstream media tell the American people the truth. Tell the American people how this tariff not only ill-conceived, but how immoral this tariff was, because it's asking the average American, good people that are not on fentanyl, people that are not doing drugs, but they're falsely going to apply a tariff under the pretext that Canada and Mexico are sending fentanyl into America and sending undocumented workers into America as if it is their fault, when all the fault begins here. And she told him in no uncertain terms, brother, Trump, that's your problem. Then I turned on the TV to see if anybody would capture the essence of what President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo told to Trump. You cannot change, you cannot fix things if you don't first accept the reality of how things are. And madre mia, por favor. That's exactly what she did. And of course, I turned to every channel, every news channel, every newspaper in the United States, and no one covered it in the context in which it should have been covered, except for the Latin American papers. I got up this morning and I read Infobay, a Latin American paper, La Prensa, another Latin American paper, where we could actually see the words that she wrote in the proper context that she wrote it. Folks, why do you need independent media? Because we're lied to? Why do you need independent media? Because our mainstream media has a position that actually is not in your favor. It's in the corporate favor, as it keeps us uninformed, many times disinformed.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.